Now that all of the rows and columns have been explained in the calculations, here is at least an initial way to think about what this base case looks like. For this institution, tuition is growing at 3.5% a year. Financial aid is growing more rapidly. That may be a reflection of the notion that the families that are in the student body for this particular institution are facing situations where their income and or savings aren't growing rapidly, and so it requires more and more financial aid to be able to attract and retain those students. For this institution, room and board is being raised at 4% per year, and that is assumed to be something that could be done while still keeping residence halls full, or as full as they are typically. The investment earnings grow at 1% per year. That means that the investments are probably earning 6%, and 5% of the value of the endowment is being sent to the operating budget. So if you earn 6 and you spend 5, then your spending grows at 1. It is not a reflection of a 1% return on your investments, but your investment portfolio is having money taken out of it on a regular basis, unlike a 403b, which typically grows all the way until retirement. In this case, we're spending out of it regularly. The gift growth is assumed to be at 4%, which is a little above what inflation might be. When all of those numbers are added together and according to their relative size, that means the revenue for this institution grew at 2.6% from the base to year 2. In the case of compensation, the assumptions are 4% for compensation, which could be a combination of headcount and base increases in healthcare, or it could just be the same headcount, but the salary increases and health and other benefits are growing in total by 4%. The program expenses are assumed to grow slightly above inflation to meet what demands we have on the part of all the different operating departments and support and admissions and advancement. The debt and capital amount will vary for different institutions based upon what their debt covenants are, how frequently they borrow, and how much they are investing in maintenance of the physical plant. So we created a 4% assumption. That means that the expenses for this institution are growing at 3.7% from the base year to the year 2. All of that implies that your revenue stream has grown by 2.6% and your expenses have grown by 3.7. That creates a negative gap of 1.1. So that means the net at the end of the year is a $1.1 loss. Revenues had grown from 100 to 102.6. Expenses have grown from 100 to 103.7. The deficit results, and that negative number shows up at the bottom. This is clearly not something that could be maintained over time, but this set of growth rates will in fact create that circumstance. And because we said earlier that the growth rates are assumed to be unchanged throughout the period, this will also show the cumulative effect of this mismatch over the years, so that by the final year on the spreadsheet, the deficit has reached almost $10 from being balanced in year 1, and it gets progressively bigger each year because you fall further and further behind with the revenues trailing behind the expenses.